Now we'll move on to slide number 20. Again, only the authorized deductions are to be made. It is there. I think the provision is the concept is the same. Already, even the current Payment of Wages Act, it has the provisions for the items for which an employer can make deductions from the salary of an employee. Just for example, I think the premium to be paid by the individual employee for the insurance, say taken under LIC, Life Insurance Scheme Corporation, the premium can be deducted from the salary of the individual, and it can be paid to the LIC directly by the employer if it is authorized so by the individual employee concerned. But that particular deduction is no more considered as authorized deduction once the code comes through. So we may have to check what are all the other authorized deductions, but ensure only authorized deductions are made. Otherwise, we are not supposed to deduct anything from the salary of the individual. And of course, wage slip shall be issued. Yes, already it is there, and we have to continue to do that. And the total number of quantum of deduction, now it can go up to 75% if partially or fully the deduction is going towards a cooperative society. Otherwise, it should be restricted to 50%. That is the current position. But now, whether it is paid to cooperative society or not, the maximum deduction which can be made from the salary of an individual employee is only 50%. Not more than 50% can be deducted. So 50% shall be at least the net take-home pay of the individual. And in case of advance, salary advance or staff advance, however, whatever you call, the recovery currently, specifically in Tamil Nadu, there is a restriction that it should be recovered within 12 months. So only 12 installments are allowed, but that is now, that stipulation is now removed actually. This is very specific to Tamil Nadu. Maybe in other states, the number of installments could vary. The deduction for damage or loss shall be done only with the specified procedure. Of course, it has to be, the procedure has to be followed. Proper explanation should be taken from the individual employee. Only then these deductions can be made. Then in case of undisbursed due, whether it is wages or any other payment, so undisbursed due period and unpaid accumulation period is 6 months now as per rule 46. It is not under the code, it is under the rule, right? The amount to be settled within 15 days. So the employer can hold the unpaid salary only for 6 months from the date it becomes payable. After the end of the 6 months, within 15 days, he has to make the payment to the individual if he claims, or he has to deposit it with the authority concerned who will be notified, and that bank transfer shall be done only through demand draft. That is the idea. Now we move on to next slide, which is 21. And the amount so deposited with the authority concerned, if no claim is made for 7 years, then I think it will be dispersed by the central government as per the rules to be framed in this regard, right? So they will hold it for another 7 years. That is the idea. Again, mode of payment of bonus only by giving bank credit. As far as bonus is concerned, it should be paid only by giving bank credit. No other mode can be used. And you must be aware for disqualification of bonus. I think in case of theft and all, you can. You need not make the payment of bonus to the individual employee who has committed theft, fraud, or something like that. But now, along with these things, I think conviction for sexual harassment is also added. So if a person is convicted for sexual harassment, then he will be disqualified from receiving payment of bonus. Then, of course, the code differentiates between employee and worker, but in the practical application, I think there is no much difference, but still terms are different actually. Then section 2F defines who a contractor is. Almost the same definition which is now given under the Contract Labor Act. That is followed here also, but for some change in the nomenclature. Instead of manpower, they have used human resources. That's it. Otherwise, almost it is the same definition. But one important point is now the term contractor is not defined either under Minimum Wages Act or under payment of wages or under payment of bonus or under equal remuneration. We will borrow the definition only from the Contract Labor Act. But now this term is defined under the code itself, right, which encompasses these 4 legislation. That is the major change.